Yo, the Trial Run Podcast, everybody. We just been running up now.
Yeah,
bro. All off topic here in the studio, and they like record. We just talking.
Yo, hi.
Yo,
I want you to tell the public what your idea of financial literacy was.
Cordell, glad bring that back.
My idea of financial literacy was just don't get nobody nothing.
Just be stingy.
Just be stingy. Because that's the only way you're gonna really ensure that you're gonna keep it. Because when them tough times come, you start thinking about everybody you gave money to, like trips you took, and like you just go like, man, why I even go there? Like, I ain't go.
You know what the crazy part be, bro? Like when the bag hit, you be feeling like it's gonna be like that forever.
Yeah. That's the problem.
But then, like, I get crazy anxiety watching the account drop. Because I'm always gonna check. And I'll be like, oh, why did I need that? Right. You know what I'm saying? I get crazy when I think about stuff I done bought. Be like, dang, I ain't need that. Another pair of shoes.
Another pair of shoes. Yo, that's hilarious, bro.
Yeah, bro.
So yeah, I'm generous when I got it, and I feel like doing it, but I don't like spending money. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't like it. Like in my personal life. Like, but for stuff like this, man, I'll drop a bag on this.
I was about to say, like this investment. My experience with you has not been stingy though.
Nah, for this,
you definitely are a minimalist though.
I'm very much a minimalist, but when it comes to stuff like this, I'll spend my bread on business stuff. Like, okay, we got to do this, let's do it.
T-shirts, studio, whatever. Like, he gonna spend on that.
But like, if you just want to go somewhere, why are we doing that? Like, we can just chill in the crib. Like, what you?
Yo, I find myself being guilty for spending on myself. So I do stuff like
I used to do that.
Like, I do stuff like buy my wife one, and she'll never ask though. She just be like, okay, I'm gonna get her one just to make myself feel better.
Oh, that's storm
coming crazy over there.
It's crazy. Ain't raining on your end.
It's getting dark out here. It's getting darker.
It's getting dark. I'm supposed to be going to a car show today too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, ain't happening.
I don't know.
You might not make it out the driveway.
I'm supposed to be going to the gym, and that's happening. I don't care.
I know that's happening.
Only way it's not happening, the power's out. They don't let us see the power's out.
You know, be go like, hey man, I'm be wet anyway after I sweat, so it don't matter. Like, just get in the gym.
Sweat, rain is water, precipitation.
It's all water. It's all water.
Oh,
Yo, oh man. So this whole episode, man, we just decided like we just gonna get into this Diddy stuff, man, because it's out of line, man. So.
And not only that,
it's
so much going on around it. Like,
so we gonna preemptive pause the whole episode.
Another one. Because you know you did this before. Another episode.
This is another preemptive pause, bro.
So what's the order? What happened, right? So out of the blue, Cassie just decided to sue him, or that's when, like, it was already some rumblings.
I mean, it's out of the blue for us, but yeah, I think that was brewing. You know,
because I know I'm gonna tell you when I feel like things really started to move in a weird direction for him when Keefe D and the Tupac thing started coming out like in a big way, and then they locked old boy up.
Yeah,
you believe all of that though?
Well, the thing about that is that back in the 90s, when all that was happening, that word was already around there like that.
Right.
It wasn't like,
you know, with Children being on the red side, Puff them security when they went to LA was the Southside Crips, which was the direct rivals of the MOB Piru gang out there that Suge was affiliated with. From what I understand, Suge was never actually a member of that gang, but he grew up in that neighborhood, so he was automatic. You know, but out there, you automatically affiliated with the gang of the neighborhood you grew up in.
Yeah,
and
that's how I understand
he was able to, he was breaking off the right people. So he had some goons around him, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, of course, it just made sense for Puff them to use those guys as kind of like street security, not the actual security. We know that was Big Gene.
But that connection though was through Puff's OG, Zip.
Don Zip, yeah.
According to the story. And Zip,
Yeah.
from what he a Harlem dude. So like it been this intermingle. The streets is gonna be the streets regardless, right? Like it's the same thing. We all grew up in the neighborhood, and like if I grew up with you, we went to school together. It's all cool. But if you end up in different sides of the coin, because even Keefy D and Suge, they played like little league football together.
Yeah.
So, but this thing with Diddy started when old boy started running his mouth on Vlad and start implicating him. But when I was hearing him saying it, like I'm like, this been known for years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But he signed a proffer agreement. I think that's how that works. I don't want to misquote, but he had some kind of agreement with the feds to divulge information about what happened in the Tupac case, to close that case. And when he did that, he was supposed to have immunity. So he was talking about things in that interview that he thought.
Yeah. Go ahead. I know where you're going.
He thought that he had immunity from, but ain't no immunity with, an unsolved murder, from what I'm understanding.
Well, I think it's called a non-profit agreement, and he thought he had immunity. It was just based on what they was charging him with in that room on that day. It ain't got nothing to do with you start running your mouth later on, and even the best criminals make the worst lawyers. Like
yes,
it's just one of them situations. Like the whole key to being a criminal is people not knowing you a criminal,
bro. But we live in a society where you can get paid from your story and like clout chasing and all of these different things. And when you got that type of dynamic going on, bro, it incentivizes rat. To be honest,
let me tell you something, brother. I could be doing the most wildest stuff right now, and you would not know it.
But that's how we was raised. You get what I'm saying? Me? You had very few niggas that was moving flamboyant like that. You feel me? You had your Alpos, you know what I'm saying? You had a gangster from New Orleans, people who was moving flamboyant and wanted you to know, but we see how that ends up. You know what I'm saying?
I never understood the lore in that. Like, why you want people to know? Like, why you want to bring? Then you can't move no more because the spotlight's on you. Like, why would you want people to know?
Let me ask you this though, Biko. Like with the street life you had, somebody took you under their wing and laced you. What was their jacket? Were they low key?
Yeah.
There you go. So that's your frame of reference when it comes to how to move in the streets. If your OG was flamboyant, 9 times out of 10, you was gonna be flamboyant. You get what I'm saying?
Unless it went against like who you naturally are. Some people just naturally just don't like spotlight, no matter who they OG was.
That's true.
Look at AZ and Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rich was flamboyant. AZ
but would you say Rich was AZ's OG though? They were contemporaries.
Even though they were around the same age, Rich was out there before.
Yeah.
Before AZ. So
yeah. And then Poe was super flamboyant.
Yeah.
He don't even care. He don't care what you know about. Because he like,
I don't care.
Yeah. Like I'll take you off the chessboard, dog. I don't care.
Right,
bro.
Right.
That's how simple it was.
Hey, bro, but when you think about it, bro, it's a lot of cold killers that's actually rats, bro. Like, so
but that's the thing. But the reason why it's like that is because they don't care.
That's very scary. That's my point. Like when you think about it, bro, like back in the days, you had a rat jacket, you couldn't even come back in the neighborhood because you was looked at as this Saul, squirrely type of individual. That ain't the case, bro. You got some hardcore, like shoot you right in your face without
when
blinking.
They know that you about that, they ain't gonna say nothing. They're like, yeah, I heard he told. What you gonna do about it? I mean, I'm just saying he told. Like,
right. But that's where you get the dynamic. Like when Poe was alive, he was walking up taking pictures of people who had been talk smack about.
He
like,
letting
what you
them know
gonna
that
do?
when he
I'm
came back
here.
to the neighborhood. Yeah, when he came back to the neighborhood, he like, I'm on the bikes. I'm whatever. Yeah, I know y'all not gonna do nothing. So I
You
don't care
feel
what
me?
you put in your songs. You ain't gonna do nothing because you know I get busy.
Exactly.
But he also, I felt to a degree he was protected. So for all you know, and I hate to be this guy, for all you know, he not even dead.
That's true.
Understand something? He was a protected witness.
That's true.
And it ain't nothing that you get your feel of the neighborhood again, get you back into WITSEC or whatever they call it, and you done.
I'd be right.
So anyway, but we got a little off topic with that. So I feel like it started with Keefe D, and then after that, slowly but surely, it ended up with this Cassie situation, and she filed a lawsuit, and all of this stuff comes out about him being abusive, him having these escorts that he would hire for her to have sex with while he sit there and observe, and pretty much all the wildest stuff.
Don't forget too, even while all this was going on, like you had people like Jaguar Wright saying stuff too.
Yes,
like she been going in about the whole
industry really
for a while. Everybody called her crazy, but now look, stuff was coming up. You know what I mean?
Nothing she said has come up to be non-founded, bro. None of it.
Look at the Cat Williams interview. You know, he didn't go deep into it, but he did like.
Balls, but go ahead.
We preempted pause.
We preempt. Oh, that's right. We preemptively pause.
So you can say the wildest shit you want.
I will not. But I will not. Yeah, but so it's been out there, man. Like it's just like people just like it seems like everybody been scared to really go deep into it.
Yeah. But what I don't like, what bothers me is that now that the mask has been pulled off of his face, so like the Scooby-Doo, oh, it's this guy, you know, Scooby-Doo cartoons back in the, now everybody's coming out of the woodwork like, yo, you know, yeah, he was doing.
I don't like that.
Because they feel safe.
I don't like that.
They feel safe.
Maybe so. Maybe that's a great point. I just think that it's a dangerous thing to make fun of somebody on their way down, bro. You dig what I'm saying?
Depends on what it is.
But it depends on what it is that, you know, what's they down for? Like, what's the reason they're going down? You know what I mean? And
I'm talking about,
I don't give a fuck. I'm laughing at you. You know what I mean? Because you ain't shit.
I look at it like this, bro. You could look at that. I'm gonna look at it like I saw a clip with Farrakhan where he was saying, when a brother fall, you should be looking at it as a lesson. You know what I'm saying? As like what not to do. So that's how I view it. But the jokes is funny, and if it's funny, I'ma laugh, right? However, I'm very, very cautious, even when it comes to like say, I'm never gonna publicly speak against a fallen minister, right? Mm-hmm. That's something that just won't sit right with my spirit. He could be dead wrong, right? At that point, to me, whatever God got for him, that's what's gonna happen, right? But I'm not gonna pile on and join the amen corner, so to speak, right? That's just my rule of ethics for myself. I'm not gonna, I don't care how many people start piling on, I'm not gonna join the chorus. And the jokes are not something that I'm gonna publicly engage in like that. You know what I'm saying? Because even though he's fallen, that's still my brother in Christ. And I should, you know what I'm saying, have some kind of grace for him, because if not, I could be next to fall. You get what I'm saying?
That's a spiritual perspective to have. And I think at face value, you're absolutely right. When you dive a little bit further into the details of the person, like what did they do to people? Like sometimes.
Now, I'm not saying I'm gonna excuse it though.
No, I know you're not.
I'm not going to excuse.
You're just saying I'm not going to join the witch hunt.
I'm not going to publicly persecute that person.
I live by a different code. You know, I think some like that when we was talking about off camera, we was talking about 50. Like 50 don't let up, and I was like, I think that's some Queen stuff, because like you be feeling like no matter what, like yo, it's up forever for you because you violated. So Fifth already knows something about Puff that had him on his head anyway. So when this happened, he like, see, why you think he didn't let up off of Ja and them? You know what I'm saying? Like, look all of the stuff that transpired between him and Ja that culminated into, and it's like, nah, I ain't letting up off you. I don't care.
But 50 ain't as petty as people think he is, right?
There's some strategy to it, but
well, exactly. That's what I mean. So when you look at it, what was the common thing that juxtaposed Ja to 50 and now Puff to 50? The things that they were competing for, right? Ja was on as a rapper. Not saying 50 was on some jealous attack you stuff, but you aligned yourself against me in this field. So now I'm gonna obliterate you, right?
Well, that's different. That 50 and Ja thing completely different.
Yeah, I know the street element kind of leaked into it, but at its core, right?
It was never music. It was never music. It was never music.
Okay, so let's look at it from the perspective of him versus Puff, right?
Right.
They were Puff. I think what happened when Puff had Ciroc, which is a vodka, right, and 50 had effing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think behind the scenes there was some power playing going on that caused 50 to look at Puff like, oh, okay, you putting that hat on? Watch what I'm about to do you now. You get what I'm saying? And so I really believe that with Puff, it's not, to your point, it's not the same thing. It's not the same elements in the Ja Rule situation, but it is the same strategy. Yeah, like now you down, I'm finna make sure you out.
And they had disagreements with, because remember 50 was trying to get Mace.
Mace, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they had issues there. I think something about 2-3 million. It was some money issues with that.
2 million, yep.
So there's a lot going on between them two.
Yeah, and then to top it off, then he had, the baby moms went messing with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like yeah, that storm gonna try to interrupt this whole situation. Listen, so let's go get into it, right? It's going crazy on this side too now. So going back to like where we said it started, then it ended up being the Cassie thing. So then we heard him deny that any of the allegations that she put inside of her lawsuit was even correct. And then fast forward a month or so, we see the hotel video. And like, listen, that it's serious when the dude run out the room in his towel, and the way he yanked her head from the elevator.
That's crazy.
Then he kicked her while she was down, picked up the stuff, then dragged her back to the room, then started throwing stuff at her. Like, what's in your mind that it gets to that point?
Bro, when a person is dancing with the devil the way he clearly was, you talking about a cocktail of like lewd sex acts, drugs, all kind of drugs. You get what I'm saying? Like just the influence level he had, the access that he had to indulge in his demons. It was inevitable, bro. Like that, bro. What they say, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolute, right? That kind of access with nobody telling you no, nobody telling you the truth, because you represent a bag, because you represent an opportunity. Nobody's gonna really, put themselves in a position to be the person that put the mirror in front of you because of what it represents. It's bound to go that far, right?
Yeah.
So we probably just scratching the surface of the stuff this dude done did, bro.
Oh, I know. And think about the idea when you just said all the stuff that he's done that we don't know. All the stuff that he's gotten away with that we don't know. Because that's what fuels you, right? You do it, then you get away with it. Then you do it again, you get away with it. And it's like, oh, I'm untouchable. Somebody brought a point up to me and she was like, it's the same thing with Bill Cosby. And I'm like, huh? And she was like, think about Bill Cosby. She was like, yeah, he's this America's dad, but then he got accused of what he got accused for. He went to jail. But she was like, think of all the bodies that's been buried on his behalf. And I said, huh? And I'm thinking she means figuratively. She was like, no. He's not a doctor for real. He's drugging women. He gets off on them being helpless and not being able to fight back and then sleeping with them. Like, can you imagine how many women could have potentially probably had died because he gave them drugs? and how he had to clean up people come and put them in carpets and do it. And when she said that, I said, I'm not saying it's true. What I'm saying is I never thought about it. Because you think about it, and it's like, if you doing this, you didn't do it. Every time you did it, it didn't go right.
Right.
So at some point, it went bad. It had to go real bad to that point.
Yeah.
So it was like Cosby, somebody had to die at some point. And I'm just saying, it's just the odds, just for you to have that big of a sample size of women being drugged and none of them died. Somebody cleaned something up. So you take it back to Puff. Somebody was cleaning something up for him. And he got away with a lot of stuff. If you think about the Tupac thing, $1 million on the head of Pac, like, and then you dig what I'm saying? Imagine who, you know, what type of in that can really ignite something in you to feel like, oh, I just knocked off the biggest dude in the world.
And it's crazy because like the video comes out now. I mean, somebody always had it. Well, why you?
That's how I felt
out now.
You know, because I don't think it was about him being convicted for it, right? I think it was about pulling the rug out from under him, showing the truth, right? It was never about. They waited for the statute of limitations to be up, right? So it was never about getting him convicted. It was always about revealing who he is. Because that's bro, him going to jail for it is not worse than him losing his social currency for it. You get what I'm saying? This is the worst.
People think it's safe now to go against Puff. I think people were scared to go.
Hey, I agree.
And now everybody think even when the thing came out with Cassie and he settled in like 3 days and all that, and people was kicking his back in. There was a lot of people still like sitting there like, yo, that's messed up. Y'all, you know what I mean? Y'all beating up this black man, this, that, blah, 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 blah. I don't even think those people were genuine.
No, they're not. Genuine.
I think they was making sure they was on the right side of things just in case he pulled out, so they could be like, yo, look, I was always there with you, bro. I knew you didn't do that, and blah 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 blah. But now, with that video that came out, now everybody don't want to touch that shit now.
Have y'all ever experienced the backstage life, the groupie shit that goes on?
No.
I have. So I was on, New Orleans have a local bounce scene, right? So I was tapped into that scene before Katrina.
Okay.
Like I had very, very deep roots with that community, and went on a regional tour. Bro, when I tell you, so we ain't even talking about the influence level of a Puff. We ain't talking about the influence level of a Cosby, right? When I tell you, girls followed us from the show and was waiting to be picked at the hotel.
Oh, wow.
Bro, you don't know me from a can of paint. But whatever is clever. Wow. You get what I'm saying? And I'm being judicious when I say this.
Right.
Like, bro, like it's so I'm saying that to say, if that was available for me, right, with no hit records, with no opportunity to give nobody,
right,
how much more do you think was available to a Cosby, was available to a Puff, available to a Tupac, bro?
R. Kelly,
I didn't like R. Kelly. I didn't like the Tupac movie too much, right? But in one of the scenes, the lady who played his mama, Denai Guerrero, says to Tupac, right, they are going to give you the tools to destroy yourself.
Yes. Yep.
That's the most powerful part of that movie, right?
Yeah, because that movie was trash. Go ahead.
Yeah, the movie was terrible.
Horrible.
When you think of everything that was available to Pac in that year that he got released,
Mm. It was everything to destroy.
Everything. He gave you all the tools to destroy yourself. They gave you all the liquor, all the weed, all the hoes, everything that you needed to render you ineffective.
Because even in his behavior that night, it was definitely a behavior of someone who felt he had no untouchable. Like for you to even swing on somebody like that for the reason you did, and you got all
that Orlando Anderson was with the business.
Yeah, but I look at it like this. Humans are human, so I don't care what social status you think you at. We got video of the president of the United States in Texas getting taken care of in front of everybody. Like that puts everything in the context when everybody starts saying, "You know who he is? I know who I am." So
wait, what video are you talking about?
I'm talking about JFK. Like we all saw that.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that puts that whole
in the
60s. In perspective. In the 60s, they was doing that to everybody. Like everybody was getting it in the 60s. Like, you think you Martin Luther King civil rights? Okay, watch this. JFK, watch this. RFK, watch this. Like Medgar Evers, watch this. Like they didn't care. Everybody was getting it. So when we got that as history, I don't put a lot of value in somebody's street credibility or whatever. Is like okay, but if we got an issue, is an issue. But you're right about that. They gave him all the tools to destroy himself. So bringing it back to Puff, he had all the tools for years, and all the stuff he got away with, and all the people he paid to help him get. Like they said he paid $50,000 for the video, yet someone still had a copy. Like that's how delusional you are in your feeling of invincibility, because you so addicted to this drug that you don't even realize people don't love you, dog.
They don't.
Pay for it. You think ain't nobody made a copy of that?
Right.
You represent opportunity, bro. You represent a way up. That's it. You get what I'm saying? And people lose so much perspective on that, bro. Like you really be buying into your hype.
Oh my God.
Yo, and this goes for all of us, right? I had a friend one time who was talking about quote unquote, why haven't I made it yet? Right? You think about, they clearly called you a phenom for a reason, right? You was a young, ridiculously talented, able guy, right?
Right.
So the whole concept of feeling like the game passed over you, it's an easy thing to start to buy into that, right? Because I know I'm better than what I hear on the radio, right? I listen to what I have. What's on my hard drive, is clearly better, at least in my opinion. And in the opinions of a lot of people I let hear.
You got some good stuff. Go ahead.
Right. So I appreciate that.
No, you do, man.
So my point being, it's easy to start to get down on yourself and be like, dang, man, did I miss my opportunity? Right? Did the game pass over me? Or just, did I not do this? Did I not do that? Sometimes you didn't get passed on. Sometimes you didn't get passed over. Sometimes it didn't pass you by. Sometimes you are just preserved. You get what I'm saying? I know I would have destroyed the bag had I got it back then. Bro, the nigga with the shoulder off on Apollo? Oh, bro. I would have, I would be dead, bro. I know I would, right?
How you knew me back when I was in the studio heavy. Can you imagine if I had that money like that? Like the way I was.
Man, you would have been trying to take care of everybody. You would have been trying to take care of everybody.
Right,
so if I said stingy in the beginning of the show, he's the opposite of that. Like everybody, yo, what you do? Are you tap dance? Come here, let me help you out, son. Yo, I'm buy you some tap shoes. We gonna get you tap dancing before the show, and then it would have been crazy.
Yo, Cordell,
I want to say something about that, Biko. The heart of a person that would move that way, right? The typical story is that person gets jaded, right? Because somebody takes advantage of it, somebody burns you, so it builds a armor around your heart to where your heart ain't that open. Now you can't be a vessel for God to move through because your heart is guarded against the movement. That's in a way because you did not make it back then with that mindset, right? you've been preserved. You get what I'm saying? For you to be responsible with your open heart. For you to understand who you being open-hearted with, for you to be able to discern the character of the people that you're working around, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But that goes back to something we say at our church. The new thing for this year being, I am divinely protected and I am divinely provided for. That was divine protection, bro.
I love
that's a fact. That's a
You
fact,
feel
man.
me?
Yeah.
Those studio sessions was unlimited supply of food, unlimited supply. If you drank, you drank.
Whatever your vice was, I had you.
You know what I'm saying?
Whatever your vice was.
And I'm just there to rap.
Right.
I'm like,
yo,
I
don't
don't smoke
none of that. Like, going up. It's my turn.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
My turn. Let's go.
And see, I wasn't level-headed like that back. Well, to a degree, I was. I was never as wild as the environment I was in. Never. I was always a little bit cautious, but I ain't have the discipline that I had. I definitely would have done something.
I just think
something would have got done.
That discipline was rooted in fear, right? That was a fear of, for one, I had this thing about not smoking because I was like, if I'm rapping, well, I'm gonna be smoking. Like, I don't want my voice. I didn't want it to do anything to my skin. Like, it was just like this fear of it was gonna alter my appearance. And I just felt like, yo, I like my skin, I like my voice. I don't want my lips to be black from smoking. Like, and then I didn't want to let my parents down. Like, even though they wasn't together, I felt like the perception of people in the neighborhood, it needs to still be one of respect. So if you got this son out here wilding out, they ain't gonna respect you. Like, your son is out of here, out of control. So I never want my mom to have to deal with that. So I was like, I'm not gonna be the problem. Now, whatever other kids you got, if they the problem, they could be the problem, but it ain't gonna be me. Like, don't even worry about me. I ain't gonna do that. So when you think about the preserving of a person and how you talk about, like, that's why it didn't happen for you. It happened for this guy, Puff. He worked on it. He got it. And throughout his career, he has taken his advantage of those opportunities to destroy himself.
Not just the opportunities.
Right.
And everybody, I don't believe he ever looked at anyone like they were a human being. He looked at them as a piece to move, to help him.
Yeah.
A tool. This is your utility. I'm going to use you for this. Once I'm done with that, all right, boom, I'm out of here. Like the young girl, Young Miami, she gave him a look and like, people think that he was doing so much for her. She did a lot for him.
Oh yeah, he's Zaddy now. He Puff Zaddy.
Right. You know, she gave him a look that he couldn't get with Kim Porter. You know what I'm saying? She's in his age group. But Cassie, and Cassie, it was always weird anyway. I never liked guys who dated their artists. That was corny. Like, even Irv Gotti with Ashanti. I'm like, yo, what are you doing?
Oh, bro, like
just super corny. But, then Cassie went her way, and then it looked like, oh, she left him for a trainer. So he got to get his swag back. Right. Oh, Young Miami. All right, cool. And she's a good look. You know what I'm saying? She out there, she rapping. So boom, he got to show all of that stuff. But then he ended up trying to, from what people was alluding to before the shoe dropped, he was doing the same thing with her, where he was now using her to recruit and bring through the vices and the women and whatever else is going on. So he was about to repeat the same process with Shorty that he did with Cassie, that people say he did with Kim Porter. So he never really learned his lesson, even though he then went on this apology and stated, I was in a dark place and I went to therapy. Bro, this video is from 2016. You were still doing the same stuff up to now.
Right.
So what do y'all think about the apology? Like, what do you think about that? Bika?
First of all, who was okay with that? Like 50 said, like, who was advising this guy? Like, yo, he looked crazy. He looked thirsty. Just looked. I don't know, man. I don't know why he did that shit. And he shouldn't have. And it just makes it worse. That wasn't an apology. That wasn't an apology. That was I'm sorry I got caught. That's all that was. That was no apology. He ain't sorry for that shit. He don't care, man.
Do you think he deserves forgiveness?
Here's my thing.
You asked
right?
the wrong person, man.
Right. All right, calm down. Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
All right. A couple things stood out, right? On the video, he hit Cassie. He kicked Cassie. He dragged Cassie. Why are you apologizing to the public?
Mm-hmm.
You don't owe the public an apology. You feel me?
Somebody said he can't mention Cassie's name or something like that because
it don't. To me, it don't matter. At that point, you just shut up.
Right.
You feel me? And the whole forgiveness part, he ain't did nothing to me. So I don't have forgiveness to give him.
No, not from you. Like he's saying, do he deserve forgiveness? Period.
From who though?
Well, just
the people he hurt.
From the people that he hurt. Yeah.
That's personal for them though. You get what I'm saying? That's on their process and on their journey. If they decide, okay, I need to let this go so I can grow, I need to let this go so I can move forward. That's on their journey. Some people ain't gonna forgive. Some people don't have the aptitude.
So you don't attach yourself as just generally speaking of whether or not he needs forgiveness. You're not gonna make that determination.
Well, as a Christian, there's nothing you could do that's beyond forgiveness, right?
Okay.
As long as you drawing breath, there's nothing you could do that's beyond forgiveness. So that's on that, right? As long as you breathe, okay, right? You can repent, and you could, and that's not saying that that's an excuse to go back and do the same thing because that's not repentance. Returning to what you repent from is not repentance. I'm sorry. Right. But what I'm saying is a true change of heart from God. Now, I'm not saying from man because we human and we have feelings and all of that. So, you know what I'm saying? You can't really govern or judge that. But in regards to God, he's not beyond forgiveness or redemption.
And this is the part in therapy that I talk about often because this is the part that keeps me from going to that next space in forgiveness. And I was talking to my therapist yesterday, and I said, this forgiveness particular worksheet that I was working on is so rooted in the spiritual faith of stuff. But we operate on this physical plane, and everything that affects us is affecting us here. So I got to have this level of belief in a higher power handling it for me. And I do. But then there's still the human side of me that I have to honor as well. That I have to feel, that I believe I have to get some fulfillment out of knowing that this occurred. So in his particular case, she's getting everything that she wants. She's exposing him. She got the bag. People now seeing for who he is. This new lawsuit popped up with this new lady. The snowball is rolling downhill on him right now, and is moving at a high speed. So when you talk about does he deserve forgiveness or not, you're right. It isn't up to anybody to decide. That is between him and the victims or God or whatever. But as a human being, when you see somebody do that repeatedly and never actually change or course correct, it's the same thing with R. Kelly, dog. Like he was doing that with impunity. It wasn't like he had some situation, got caught up in the moment, and then it's like, I don't know. That's how Puff presented his apology. Like this was a one-off. And I was in a dark space, brother. No, you've been in a dark space the entire damn near your whole career.
Long time, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
I know y'all watch some of the Jaguar Wright videos where she's talking about some of the stuff he did to people, like famous people.
Yeah. And look at what happened. Like underneath
things, he got tapes on them. What type of crazy?
He got tapes on. Now this is something that we didn't know. I didn't know nothing about it. I don't know if you guys knew anything about it. So this is why the forgiveness thing is important. I wanted to talk about because underneath one of those posts, Shaka Khan's daughter made a comment.
I saw that.
I ain't see that. Okay,
man. So, and she said, "I'm dancing for joy." And I'm paraphrasing. I'm dancing for joy right now.
I saw it. Yep.
You got in my mother's face and you screamed on her, and yelled at her, and treated her like trash. And then when my 19-year-old brother tried to get involved with it, your goons beat him up. You had
wow.
Yeah. So that's why I said, does he deserve forgiveness? Because this is a behavioral pattern that he's has showed, right?
Yep.
He has, and even when you talk about Gene Dill earlier, Gene Dill talked about when he was talking to him, what about Big? What about, I don't care if Big died or Pac got to die. I don't care. I'm not about to get caught up in none of that. Like, he was okay with any, if you want to believe Gene Dill for that, you know what I'm saying? He's so self-absorbed that he doesn't have no real awareness that or care that he's hurting these people. Like, so he is this utility.
They say he smacked his moms too or some shit.
Somebody did say he smacked his moms. That's
Yo, man.
wow.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
There's something about the pursuit of power in the Western world, right? That creates megalomaniacs.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? The pursuit of power creates a Puff. It creates a Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. It creates a Jeffrey Epstein. It creates a R. Kelly, right? So,
and a whole lot of other people who
we haven't even named.
And they out there and they in plain sight, and you think they not into stuff.
Bro, some of them CEOs of companies we support.
Most of them are.
Right? Yep. Some of them, bro, like it's, I'll give you a prime example, right? You can create a structure where you have that type of autonomy.
Yeah.
A group, right? Where you are the ultimate power, the absolute authority, right? Charlatans do that.
Yes.
They get people to buy into what they're selling, and they create a quote unquote community around themselves, right? To where everybody's basically slick worshiping them.
Bishop Eddie Long.
So my point, but it's not just people like that, right? It's also like I said, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cult leaders. You get what I'm saying? Whenever there's nobody that can hold you accountable, you headed for what he's going through.
That's what happened with the head of the Ansar Allah community. So my parents were a part of that when I was a kid. Dr. York. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I am.
All right. So he ended up graduating his belief system from Islam to something else, and they became the Wahabians, something that he made up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So developed it. They moved to Eatonton, Georgia. He started building the pyramids on the property, the obelisks, and, right. So that's who that was. But
21 Savage come from under them. Did you know that? 21 Savage.
I
did not know. Oh, he's in the Wahabians. Okay, so this what happens, and then of course you building pyramids in Eatonton, Georgia, Republican state. Like, what's going on with this? All these black people. So they send ATF and all of that stuff. They do some investigating, and some people start putting these stories out. He's taking advantage of younger girls. You know, this man got over, like, who knows, 40 plus, 60 plus kids or whatever. Like, so he went unchecked for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the young girls, I didn't know anything about that as a kid, but guess what? My father definitely told me that he was sleeping with other men's wives.
Damn.
Wow.
Like inside the mosque, like the masjid, like, and it was like known, like he'd take a man's wife. So even if you didn't sleep with young girls, if you was doing that unchecked and taking men's wife, we gonna create a story about you.
That's still haram.
It's still haram, exactly. You know, we gonna make a story about you, fam. We gonna get you up out of here because you violate. And it's but a matter of time before you take my daughter, who was 17, 16 last year, and you start trying to groom her to be one of your wives. And I know he has some young wives. So fast forward to, so when you talk about like nobody there to check them, charlatans, and that's why I brought up Eddie Long, because you mentioned charlatan. That's why I brought up him. Back to Puff. Is he really a charlatan? He's proven that he knows how to make money. He's not like a fake about what he does for money. But
I'm not considering him a charlatan, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. They push this narrative where you have to be this arrogant, this ruthless person to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? The whole power play with him sending people to get cheesecake for a record deal. You get what it's things like that you do to assert your dominion, to assert your power. It's a mental manipulation tactic. Yeah. And Donald Trump is the same thing. Look at The Apprentice, right? Yes. And I'm not making this political, bro, because both sides of the coin is rusty to me.
Let me ask you a question. Both of y'all, I'm talking. Mm-hmm. Do you think we know where Dame Dash is now? Do you think he was on that path before him and Jay-Z split to being that type of person? He's humbled now. But there was a time when Dame was really, really, I don't wear the same this 2 days in a row. He was cakeaholic.
This the thing with Dame, right? Go ahead first, Biko. Pause.
No, I think he was on that path. I mean, it's hard to tell. I ain't got too much to say on that, but I think so because he definitely got this power trip thing with him. So I could see he would have been heading that same way.
What about Irv Gotti?
I don't know.
Because he was popping e-pills. He admitted to that. He was.
Irv was definitely on that path, and I'm gonna say why I say that. He was already doing this. Like he had a very short run at the top.
Yeah.
But he made a lot of enemies while he was there. And he made all the wrong moves and pissed off all the wrong people while he was there. You feel me? But he was groomed to be like that. Look at who he come up under.
Leo. So you think about that guy. Ain't nobody exposed no skeletons from him yet.
It's coming.
And they're not gonna be able to.
He'll have way more protection than what
they're not gonna be able to. They're not gonna be able to. They're not gonna want to put it like that.
Because he makes YouTube a lot of money.
But here's the thing. What we saw happen with Puff outlived his influence.
And his usefulness.
That's my point. His influence and his window into black culture, urban black culture.
That was his usefulness.
That was his utility.
That was his utility. Okay.
And once the culture deemed you, yesterday, the people that's been protecting you, that's been sweeping your bullshit under the rug, they don't have a use for you. So if they don't have a use for you, now you're expendable. Now everybody can come out the woodworks and start to blame you.
That's what I believe that Carisha move was about. That was definitely about staying in touch with.
I got to stay with the youth. With Dame, the thing, like, it's a double-edged sword because a lot of things that those types do go against Dame's street principles, and we see he stick to that. You feel me? So I don't think he was ever going to be the guy, because to me, he more empowered artist than anything. He was never going to be the guy to take a nigga publishing. He was never going to be the guy to not put somebody in position. That's, from what I'm understanding, is a Harlem ethos.
Okay.
You put your man on. You feel me? I just think that he had too much of that street indoctrination to go some levels.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
He had some governance there.
Yeah, but he still answers to his OGs.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So there was always somebody that could pull his coat and say, "Hey, bro, you look crazy as hell pouring that champagne on that chick in the video." You notice that never happened again.
I see what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying? The fact that he always was looking out for niggas, like he got Cam out of his deal. You feel me? He tried to help with ODB when he came home from prison. It was several things he did to me that just did not align with the corporate structure of the music business. So he was never going to be the type of nigga that they would empower.
So what do you think? What do you think as Puff navigates this new normal for him? Because this is what it's going to be.
Oh yeah,
it's foreseeable. This is pretty much the beginning of that end. Do you think this starts to trickle into some inquiries in the Hove? Because 50, he started posting stuff about Jay.
They already starting that.
Yes,
they just posted a clip with the baby on Club Shay Shay, talking about he was at a party and Puff held him back and a couple other people, like 15 other people, and he mentions Beyonce and Jay was part of the 15 people that was there. Like, he's trying to paint a picture that not only like he was considered important, but Beyonce and Jay was part of this small group of people. And just putting that clip out there is putting it like, yo, y'all might.
It's framing it, yeah.
Right. It's saying something without saying it. So now people gonna start poking around there. Well, Jay's been around Puff for a while, so.
And Jay been around R. Kelly.
And Jay come up under Lior.
And, he's been messing with young chicks. Beyonce was young. Aaliyah was young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
hey, bro, man, this shit, it's not looking good, bro. When you think about all of the people the gatekeepers, for lack of a better way to say it, of our culture, you got to side eye them at this point. All of them.
What does that mean for our culture? And we got a little bit of time left. What do you think this means for our culture as far as the luminaries that have been sort of like the ones who are like the pillars, so to speak, who helped build it? Because let's be honest, Bad Boy helped build hip hop up.
Yeah.
Rockefeller built hip hop up.
Yes.
This is post Biggie and Pac, right? So they were there and they took the torch and they brought it to this commercialization level that now you see a lot of people being able to like make deals outside of the culture and not just make it about the music. So what happens? Who's the next people to step up into that place who gonna have a little bit more code about them to help preserve the culture?
I want to point something out, right? The quote unquote heyday of hip hop was what? The 90s.
The golden era.
The you could say the second golden era, because the late 80s was what they call the golden era. But for us, our formative era was the 90s, right? Think of all the black millionaires that were made in hip hop, some billionaires in the 90s, right? Who was in control in the 90s? Who had nice runs in the 90s? You had
Afro, Bad Boy.
But so that's what I'm getting at. You had Suge, right? You had Puff, you had Russell, right? You had for the South, you had Master P, you had Cash Money towards the end, you had Jay Prince, right? But you really can't count. You really can't.
Jay Prince in there.
So Def.
Jermaine, yeah. The Dungeon Family.
Yeah.
Right. All of these are people who shaped our culture, but still had a hand in the culture. Right.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Those are people who should be the luminaries now, right? Who should be the people that could call a shot, who should be the people that could put their hands around what's going on out there and say, hey, bro, let's move this way. But that's not what the powers that be want. They want chaos out here.
Well, you say the powers that be, right? So who are the powers that be? Do you think
that's a great question.
Do you believe that there's this hidden hand plotting agendas and saying, hey, you need to stick to this script? Like, even if you go off a little bit, just the whole main point of just, this is what we need from you. You think that's happening? Or you think this is just these people like Puff or R. Kelly, this is more just a replication of behavior that they were in an environment and say, okay, if this person is getting away with it, I can do the same thing.
Well, I think it's like you said, like who these people came up under.
Back to that.
They're watching that.
Who empowered them?
Right. and they seen that behavior, and they're replicating the behavior. But
the ones who did not buy into the activity, you started to see their influence wane before they started touching beads. You feel me? Before they started touching that real money. Eureka Wade.
Those people that
feel
are
me?
there, that's why I said they're not going to be exposed because they're at the top of the top. Who's gonna expose them? I think they're the ones that's doing the exposing.
I think so. There's a degree of that. I mean, because those people who control the media controls the channels of what goes through those channels. Excuse me. So I believe that. Now think about this, right? And you made a point. You say the powers that be. If I observe you and I can tell you have a propensity for something one way or the other, I can set up the environment for you to just make the decision for yourself.
They will give you the tools.
The tools. There you go.
Yourself.
That's where I was going with it. So,
because when you think about it, bro, how in the hell do the same thing happen in New York, the same thing happen in LA, the same thing happen in Atlanta? You get what I'm saying? And Chicago, like it's the same playbook.
I think what we need to do, because we need to start putting a button on this episode. I think it's important before we make our last points to not even maybe, we need to go in deeper about COINTELPRO and how it's more just, it's not just about music. It's not just about how this operation has never died. It's always been alive and it will continue to be alive because the Black Messiah can never, ever come to pass.
Didn't we talk about that before?
Yes, we did.
Basically, I was dancing around what you just
Go
said.
ahead. I know.
Yeah, bro.
You got
yeah. But yeah, you on point with that. Exactly.
We got to really dive into that because we have like you said, it happens here, happens there, happens everywhere. Simultaneously.
Come on now.
Right.
It's like when Michael Corleone set up all the families, the head of the families. It's like, how did that happen? Like, it's somebody there. So as we put a end this particular, first of all, great conversation.
Yeah, always.
We need to sit down and think about those things because we can really highlight a pattern that has been occurring for decades.
Facts.
Where it's really been limiting our ability to come together and has allowed us to move in a very disjointed way as a community. And every time we have someone that appears to be this beacon that can influence everybody, these things start to come out. Bill Cosby, Sean Combs, we don't know what's going on with Hove yet. Dame Dash, people that really you believe have that in them, and all of a sudden it's like, the traps happen. So it's a different game. It's definitely a chess game being played, and the chessboard is not in front of everybody.
I want to point this out, right? I think when we watch our heroes, we should be paying more attention to their mistakes than we do to their successes, right? The problem is we emulate both.
Yep.
Right? We so busy looking at trying to get where they're going to what we're doing, everything they did, not realizing some of that stuff was the trap, which is why everybody keeps falling in the same trap. We should be learning from their mistakes, right? And not trying to emulate their success, but to have our own success. You get what I'm saying? But
absolutely,
when you're set up as the beacon for the quote unquote Black community or the hip hop community, or if you don't have this kind of car, you're nobody. If you don't have these kind of diamonds, you're nobody. So we all end up chasing after the same thing, right? Not realizing that there's mistakes that were made that you can learn from so you can make your move, make your play a little better. And I think that's, we have not learned from the mistakes that the luminaries of the 90s made, man. And that's why you got a lot of these guys that's doing the same thing, falling for the same okie doke, bro.
Biko, what's your closing arguments about this? Statements, rather.
We're in a real pickle right now, yo. Like, I'm trying I'm trying to really I'm trying to start with mines and build them up the right way. But with social media and the way things are, it's hard to get people on the right track because media is controlling this whole shit, and you're battling against. So basically, we got maybe 3-4 hours out of the day with our children.
Yeah,
and we got to fight against this influence that they're having in front of their face 24/7. Is how do we get past that? You know what I mean? Like, and that's been my my battle for the past couple of years. Is just like, how do we come up out of that fighting against this demon?
Yeah,
it's also a tool that we need so we can do the stuff we're doing right here now, right? But at the same time, it's working against us at the same time. I don't know. Sometimes I feel lost, man. I don't know which way is up. Like
the Bible says, "Let the wheat and the tare grow together," and God gonna do the separating.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe, but then sometimes it's just like, dude, I don't just feel like it's no use. Like,
yeah,
I get it.
I don't know. So sometimes I just feel, I don't know, I just feel lost, but I don't know, bro. I don't have an answer.
The most you can do is what you know to do, though.
I mean, and that's what I do, but it's like sometimes it feels useless, like nothing's happening.
There's those moments.
Yeah.
When it comes to this media thing, that's the part that I always get concerned about, because whoever is in control of media, like when people go at Stephen, and I'm not going to make this a long one. When people go at Stephen A. Smith, right, and these athletes, they say something about him, they forget that, and this is on a smaller scale, that he talks to people every single day. So you can say one thing about him one day and then go about your business. But then he got Monday through Friday to talk about you. Then he got it. Then he got his podcast at night to talk about you. Then he's on
making money every time he go.
And every time he talk about you, he making money. So think about the people who are the head of these media companies, right? When they start running these campaigns, because I look at this thing about Puff, R. Kelly, and these guys deserve to go what they're going through. But you think about the ones who they did this to who didn't deserve it. They got media campaigns to just slur your name and drag it through the mud.
Yes.
So by the time people realize you got cleaned up, people don't even recognize you no more.
Right.
Because they done dragged you through the mud so much. And no matter what people put on you, that stain is always there. And people are always going to look at you, well, he might have did something. She might have did something. And that's what you said earlier. That's the goal of what they're doing right now to him. Now, we got proof he deserves it. But there's a lot of people who didn't deserve it. There's a lot of people who name they drag through the mud publicly and loudly. And Fred Hampton. And then quietly it was like, oh, he was acquitted. Anyway, back to the next news cycle, and then it's like, oh wow. So that's what we got to get on. On the next topic, we'll talk about those things and really dive a lot into the details of the Panthers counterintelligence program through J. Edgar Hoover, but also continuously going and even talk about things like Sandra Bland, because there's a lot of stuff going there, and we can't always look at everything as being not connected.
Right.
Facts.
All right, fellas, the Trial Run Podcast. Amazing conversations always, my brothers. And until next time, we out.
Peace.
Peace.
We are divinely protected and divinely provided for.
Say that. Yeah.
Say that. I love that, bro.
Remember that.